I'm going to share the 6 things that I do to harness my presence, leverage it to become the single most memorable person in any room I ever enter, whether it's one-on-one or one-on-many. I know it sounds arrogant, egotistical, but it's not about that. It's about the fact that I want to become memorable in service of each person there, because when I become memorable for each person there, it's going to increase their quality of life, their energy, their commitment, their possibility, because that's how I show up. So the first thing that you need to do is recognize that you control 100% of your presence. Now, often people feel like they are completely out of control of their presence because they'll walk into a room, like a networking event, let's just say, and they're going to think to themselves, all these people are more successful, more qualified, they're smarter, they have more letters after them, they went to better schools, and then as a byproduct, all of those limiting beliefs, by judging other people's outside on your inside, it suppresses your presence. And then you lose control of your presence and you're weak. And then you're like a wallflower. Like no one even knows you're there. Like you're literally walking the perimeter of the room and never engaging with anyone or anything. You're not catching anybody's attention. Your presence is 100% your control. For me, I have an anchor that I use that just triggers that. Whenever I find myself being human again, because we're all humans, right? We have like these moments where we like have these inferiority complexes. And my trigger is confidence is my presence. Never tense, never hesitant. Confidence is my presence. Never tense, never hesitant. And then as a byproduct, it helps me remember and recall and re-identify with the fact that I control 100% of my presence, which is how you show up in any environment. The second way to harness and leverage your presence so that you're by far the most memorable person in any room that you enter is to recognize that whatever you see yourself as is what other people see you as. So if you see yourself as that person that lacks energy, who's poor, who's unaccomplished, who's scared, that's what other people will see you as. There's this whole premise that I talk about this with our co-founders, which is what I invite you to do and encourage you to do is show up everywhere with humble swagger. Humble swagger. So you're humble. You're not arrogant. You're not egotistical. You're humble. You're approachable. But you got swagger. Like you just know you're onto something. Humble swagger. Just think about what that means to you. Because remember, in any human dynamic, the way you see yourself is how the other person will see you. This is one of the reasons why I work out, I eat well, and I meditate. Because as a byproduct, I see myself as a savage, freaking, sexy animal at all times. And I say that with real intent. Because as a result, that's what other people see. They see that same thing because I'm working on myself endlessly. But please realize, if your goal is to leverage your presence to be the most memorable person in any room, the way you see yourself is the way others will see you. The third thing you need to do to leverage your presence to become the most memorable person in the room is you constantly have to check in on your presence meter. Because we are humans. You might be talking to somebody who has 3 extra zeros on their net worth than you, and maybe that's something that really matters to you. And then all of a sudden you start to realize that you're introverting. Your shoulders they're sinking in. The level of assurance that you showed up with is now starting to dissipate. You're in your head, you're in your thoughts, you have sweaty palms. Check in on your presence meter. Are you showing up the way you're meant to show up? Are you really seeing who you are, the true you with that humble swagger? Or are you seeing that little boy or little girl that wasn't enough? We're all humans. It's going to happen. It still happens to me today. I mean, I'll go into rooms where I know by far I'm the least accomplished person in that room, but my presence is not that I'm the least accomplished person in that room. But every now and then it will happen. So I check in on my presence meter, and then I got my anchor. Confidence is my presence. Never tense, never hesitant. I tap back into what really drives me in life. I tap back into the fact that if I don't give 110% of my presence to that experience, there's a chance that there's someone in that room that needed me to show up that isn't getting the full version of me. I take responsibility for that. And I use my audit of where I am from a presence perspective, my presence meter, and I trigger myself back to full. Confidence is my presence. never tense, never hesitant. The fourth thing you need to do to just harness and leverage your presence from the most memorable person in the room is, this is a really good exercise for you. There's a wonderful woman that I work with called her Be the Fold, and Katie Monosmith, and this is by far her favorite thing that I share at all times. So make sure that you message her on social and be like, oh, Jared just shared your absolute favorite statement of all time, which is everyone poops. It's your responsibility to make them shit. Now, what does that actually mean? And that's obviously not her favorite statement of all time. But what does it actually mean? Well, what it actually means is we're just all human. There's so many times where you'll walk into a room and there'll be somebody that's dressed really well, they got a fancy watch, they got an expensive car, and maybe you're not there yet. And as a result, you're judging your insides on their outsides. And your inside is like really insecure because of all the things that they're showing on their outside. But guess what? When that dude or dudette wakes up in the morning, they take a poop. They do, no different than you. Like, they take their poop. They're just a normal human being. And I use crazy terminology at points. It could turn you off. That's okay. I really don't care. But I care at the same time because that means you're offended too easily. But this whole premise is they're just a human. They're just a human just like you are. No different than you are. With the same bodily functions and the same insecurities and the same challenges and obstacles. And they're just a human. And if you are able to harness and leverage your presence, you'll make them shit. And what I mean by that, they're going to be like, oh my gosh, you're incredible. What you're doing is so inspiring. I talk to people, at least once or twice a day, whose net worth have like 4 zeros compared to mine. Like multi-billionaires that I talk to. Iconic and legendary entrepreneurs that have done things that are 1,000x what I've done up to this point. And guess what I do? I make them shit. And I mean it. They're like, oh my God, Jared, what you've set out to do is so inspiring. It's so needed. I've thought about this for years, but I couldn't put the pieces together. You have. That's what it looks like to harness your presence, to leverage that incredible force that all of us have the choice to use in order to become the most memorable person in any human dynamic. Remember, everyone poops. You just got to make them shit. The fifth thing that you need to do so you can leverage and harness your presence in order to become the most memorable person in the room is to recognize you are the most interesting person in every room, whether it's one-on-one or one-on-many, because you're the most interested. You're the most interesting person in every room because you're the most interested. So I'm going to share my hack with you. My hack, whenever it's one-on-one or one-on-many, is I am the first person to ask the first question. I fill that space so quickly, there is no chance but to have the other party speak first. Because in order to become memorable, if you can help someone get to where they want to get to faster, they will remember you for a lifetime. And the only way you're going to know where they want to go is if you can ask specific questions. And it's the only way that you're going to help them. So whenever I'm meeting somebody for the first time, whether it's in person or virtual or in a group setting, I am the quick first step. My first step is, listen, I'm so excited to meet you. I've heard things about you, but I want to hear it directly from you. Tell me a little bit about what you've done and what you're up to. So that's their past and their present. What are you most proud of? What are you most excited about? Past and present. I don't allow them to ask me questions. So now they start talking about their past and they speak it to their present. And I acknowledge it every step of the way because I'm listening. I am genuinely interested. I know I'm the most interested, but I'm interested because I'm interested. So I'm collecting data in service of them, no ulterior motive ever. Collecting data, past, present. Tell me what you've done, tell me what you're up to. What are you most proud of, what are you most excited of? Once they finish answering the question, I acknowledge it. Wow, that's remarkable. I actually didn't realize you did that back in the day. You're incredible. That is so inspiring what you've accomplished. And the fact that you're focused on this today, who are you? You're incredible. I'm so proud that I had a chance to meet you. But tell me, what's left? Like, what are you striving toward? What's your vision? Because I want to understand past, present, and future. What's your vision? Now they're speaking into their vision, collecting more data. And that it's my responsibility because I'm interested to become interesting. Because I take what I learn and I speak into their listening. Because now I know what they've done, what they're doing, and where they're going. And I speak into their listening. And I offer them value. And if what I'm doing can help them get to where they want to get to faster, you better believe they're going to know it, and we're going to be in some form of an agreement to take the next step together. Remember, you're the most interesting person in every room you enter because you're the most interested. Because the only way to be interesting is to collect information because you're interested, and then to speak into the listening of the person that you're sharing with. And the final, number 6, the final thing that you must recognize so you can leverage and harness your presence to become the most memorable person in every room is to recognize that when your presence wins, everyone wins. Because if I had to guess, you're a really good human that wants to leave the world in a better place than you inherited it. Now, you're a change maker. You're someone that wants to really do good by humans, by society, by the environment. You're a force of nature. If your presence loses in any human dynamic, everybody loses. Everybody loses because the best version of you didn't show up. But when your presence wins, everybody wins. I teach this to our founders all the time. I say, you have to win at all costs. And they're like, oh my gosh, that's not who I am. I'm not competitive like that. I'm like, but when you win, they win. Like when you win, the world wins. You got to win at all costs, whatever it takes, you got to win. You got to win at all costs because you're a really good human being. And you are as well. And if you're showing up in an environment and your presence is lackluster and less than it's meant to be, your presence will lose, and that entire experience, whether it's one-on-one or there's many people there, will have a significantly worse experience because your presence lost. But when you commit to having your presence win, the energy of the one-on-one or the group setting will be significantly influenced because that's how powerful your presence is. I know that about me. That's why I take responsibility to show up that way because I am committed that my presence wins. Because when my presence wins, everybody around me wins as well.